My dear friends, welcome to Rajashekar classes on applied data science with Python. This is lecture number 251. In this lecture, I will continue my discussion on Amazon Fine Food Reviews dataset. Let me recall my previous lecture, that is 250. In that lecture, we were saying, we introduced what is this particular dataset. Even we discussed about this particular Kaggle.com, in which you have two types of data sets. I can say there is two files. One is review.csv and another one is database.sqlite. In this lecture series, I will use this database.sqlite, and I downloaded in zip format and unzipped this one, and now I can make use. In that we were explaining different fields of this particular data set, isn't it? These are fields. Even we are saying that these are helpfulness, and this is useful, this is helpful or not. This one is review text, this all these things, time, and this is review summary, this is review text. Just try to recall, this is review, just I am repeating previous class. This is known as a review summary, isn't it? Just which we discussed in my previous lecture, that is in lecture number 250, isn't it? These are things which you can find in Amazon websites. Even we discussed about ratings. Yes, these are the slides which I discussed in my previous lecture, that is in lecture number 250. Now, in this lecture, we will try to understand this data set in more detailed manner. How will it be? Just see this one. If you observe carefully, these are the fields which we have seen in our data set. Let me assume like this. Given a data set like this is the description of the data set which I discussed in my previous lecture. How many reviews we have? We have 5,68,454 reviews. Let me say like this. I have a table like this. In this particular table, how many reviews I have? Review 1, review 2, review 3, review 3. What is my last review? 568,454. This is my last review. What are the fields? First field, that is ID field. Let me say this is ID, isn't it? What is my second field? Product ID. Isn't it? In that manner, how many fields there are? My last field, my last column is text. Isn't it? That's what we were saying, isn't it? We are given a data set like this. We have 5,68,454 reviews here, and we are given all these attributes, 10 attributes or 10 columns, I can say. Now I want to add a new attribute. Add a new attribute. I can say attribute or column. We are interested in adding a new attribute or column with the name P or N. P/N. P/N means what? Positive or negative. Positive or negative. Let me add this column. Positive or negative. If you want to add one more column here, let me say, otherwise let me assume this is text column here. Let me say my last column, I am adding one more column, P by N. P by N means what? Positive or negative. The way I will determine whether it is positive or not by using this score. But of course, I will remove the score field. You may have some score field here with a column with the score, isn't it? Let me say this is 4, this is 5, this is 1, something like this is 2. These are the score values, isn't it? Let me say this is review 4, isn't it? Yes. Yes, the way I will determine whether it is positive or not by using the score, but of course I will remove the score here. There is a column, there is a score column here. This is, let me assume this is score column, isn't it? There is a score column here. I should remove the score column. This column should be removed, isn't it? Let me say like this. I will remove this column. I will how I will remove, we will try to understand how can I remove the score column and add something like a column known as P by N. If P means positive, N means negative. If the score is 4 or 5, make P by N as positive. Just see, here score is 4, just I must make it this column as this is positive. This score is 5. I must say this is positive. This score is 1. I must say this is negative. This score is 2. I must say this is negative, isn't it? But after removing this score column, I must introduce a new column with P by N. P means positive, N means negative. If there is 4 or 5 score, I am keeping positive. If there is score 1 or 2, I am keeping negative. It is simple and straightforward. But you have to remove the score column from our data set. Because if you have the score column, determining whether a review is positive or negative is trivial. You have to write if-else condition, and there is no machine learning at all. Now, let's pose this problem carefully, because oftentimes posing the problem is very important. So what I will do, I will keep the product ID, user ID, just see, I will keep this product ID, user ID, your helpfulness numerator, profile name, helpfulness denominator, and let me remove, which one can I remove? Just see like this. Let me remove ID. This one I am removing, and let me remove score. I am removing these two fields. There are totally 10 columns, from which I am removing ID and I am removing score. Therefore, I will left with 8 columns, plus I am adding one more column, P by N column. This one column is P by N column. Now my table will have 9 columns. Now I want to predict whether a review is positive or negative. What does positive means? Score 4 or 5. Isn't it? What is the meaning of positive? Score 4 or 5. Negative means score 1 or 2. So effectively, what we are doing here, we are predicting, given these 8 attributes, we are using these 8 attributes, and you are going to predict whether review is positive or negative. Not exactly a numerical value, but we are predicting whether the score is 4 or 5, whether the score is 1 or 2. We use these 8 fields, excluding score field, excluding ID field. I am using these 8 fields of information, 8 columns of information, and by using these 8 columns of information, I must say whether review is positive review or negative review. I already explained what is the importance of positive review and negative review in my previous lecture. You must notice the most important piece of information here is text. Understand, text is important. What is text? I already explained. Text is one of the important features which is useful to determine whether a review is positive or negative. Text is the most important information because rest of things are useful, but text should be most useful, because if I have to ask you, this point is important. If I have to ask you, text plays a role, important role. Even I can say text and summary. These are 2 important fields. Not only text, I can say summary field is also important. We discussed while discussing about Godfather textbook reviews, I have shown you what is text and what is summary. Here text and summary plays an important role to determine whether a review is positive review or negative review. Here, what is our objective? What is our intention? First, we will try to understand objective of this machine learning problem. What is my objective? What does it mean? Given a review, Determine, you have to determine, given a review, determine whether the review is, positive, review is positive or negative, positive or negative. How to determine if a review is positive or negative? We use the scoring or rating. Since we don't have the exact data whether each review is positive or not, here we are using approximate method to determine polarity in the sense whether it is positive review or negative review. This is our problem definition. Once we have problem definition, next load the data. How can I load the data? It is simple. We have seen loading the data in my previous lectures many times, but here we are using simple, it's almost similar, but it's little bit different. Here comes most interesting part. When you downloading this data set, you can see database.SQLite. Just recall, when we downloaded database.SQLite, isn't it? In that Kaggle website we have seen, isn't it? What is that SQLite? We will try to understand. This is import SQLite 3. Just let me say like this, import SQLite 3. What is the use of this SQLite 3? It provides, anyway I will explain in Jupyter Notebook also. It provides an SQL interface. It provides an SQL interface. You do not need to install this module. You need not install this module. You need not install this particular module. What's the reason? I am repeating, you do not need to install this module separately because it is shipped by default along with Python version 2.5 onwards. To use SQLite 3, to use this particular SQLite 3 module, this SQLite 3 is a module, you must first create connection object. You must create a connection object. What it is, we will try to understand what is connection object, all these things. Just let me say like this. I can say SQLite, we can obtain the data by using standard SQL commands by using this particular SQLite. This, let me say, this is my code, simple code. It's not at all complicated. Just see, con equal to SQLite 3.connect database.SQLite. This is I downloaded from Kaggle. Just recall my previous lecture, using SQLite table to read data, isn't it? What's the use of this one? This one is useful. SQLite 3, as I told you, SQLite 3 module provides an SQL interface. Just after I must create an object. I can say like this, con equal to SQLite 3.connect. As I told you, to use SQLite 3 module, you must first create connection object. To use I can say, to use SQLite 3. To use SQLite 3 module, to use this particular module, you must first create connection object. That's what I'm doing here. Just I'm creating connection object. That's what it says. Con equal to SQLite 3.connect, isn't it? This says, what's happening here? I can start once if this opens. Let me say I have a code here. I have a database here. I want to connect. I can connect. My code can connect with database by using this particular connection objects. This connection opens a connection to the database. I can start fetching the data. This particular pandas you might have seen. I already discussed this pandas many times. Import pandas as pd dot read underscore SQL query. Just refer my previous lectures where I discussed a lot about this pandas. Just what am I doing here? This select star from, just I am using simple SQL command. This is my table name. What is this? This is my table name, which is available in database.SQLite, where condition score not equal to 3. I am selecting the rows whose score not is equal to 3 by using my connection object con, isn't it? In SQLite, my table name is reviews. Select star from the reviews where score not equal to 3 comma con. I am running this using connection because connection is the link. Connection is the link between our code and SQL database. So I'm saying I'm saying this connection. I'm trying to use this connection and run this SQL command. Get, what's the use of this one? What is the use of this one? Let me write like this. What is the use of this one? Get all the reviews. Get all the reviews. Get all the reviews. Get all the reviews whose score is not equal to 3. Those of you know SQL, they can understand it quickly. Why am I skipping 3? Because we are treating 4, 5 as positive review. This one we are treating as positive review, and 1, 2 we are treating it as negative review, isn't it? Negative review. 3, what is number 3? Don't know about this review. We don't know whether it is positive review, or not, and hence we are not using number 3. That's why I am discarding. I am collecting all those reviews, but other than 3, we are not collecting reviews whose review score is 3. Once I am loading this data, if I load this data, literally it is one line of code. Just see, what am I doing here? Loading the data from my database by keeping these review scores 4, 5, and 2, and I am discarding whose review is 3. That's neutral review. Very, very simple. Next step is, what I want to do, I will try to remove the score field, isn't it? How can I do? We want to replace scores with positive. We want to replace scores with positive and negative. How can I write this one? It is simple and straightforward code. If x less than 3, I am defining a function. This we discussed a lot. We know how to define function. I already recorded many lectures on functions. This is syntax for defining function. Partition of x. If x less than 3, call. Return 0 means you can write here negative. In quotes, just write negative. Return 1 means return, this is positive. Therefore, wherever you will get less than 3 score, it will be replaced by negative. It will return. Wherever, if it is greater than 3, that's 4 or 5, this function will return positive. Isn't it? Simple function, anybody can understand. Actual score equal to filtered underscore data. What is this filtered underscore data? This is my data set in which I collected all the reviews whose score not equal to 3. In that one, this score I am keeping in actual score dot map. This is a map function. By using map function, and I am calling, I already discussed about map in my previous lecture. Just refer map or reduce, all those things I discussed. This I am partitioning data. I am calling this particular function. What's the functionality of this function? It will check if x less than 3, what will return? It will return negative. Otherwise, it will return positive. In positive, negative, there is all the data will get stored in positive, negative. What is my data frame? I can say this is filter underscore data. I am keeping another column known as score, in which I am keeping positive, negative. In positive, negative, you can have, if it is less than 3, it will return negative. If it is not, it will return positive. It is simple and straightforward code. I discussed a lot about this type of code reports in introduction to Python itself. Just head 3 means I am displaying first 3 rows, number of data points, just shape. We discussed a lot on shape. Now let me go to my Jupyter notebook and let me explain this concept, how it works. We will try to understand. This one is simple and straightforward code. SQLite 3, I already discussed about this particular SQLite 3. What is SQLite 3? Input pandas as PD, numpy as NP. All these things we discussed a lot. This NLTK, this is also important. I will discuss about these things. There are different SQL and library things. I will discuss all those things. Timing, let me proceed further. Let me just see. This is my conic code. Let me run this one. Yes, let me run. By the time I will explain, just see what it says, what we were saying, what it says, con equal to SQLite3.connect. I already explained what is this connection. It will provide connection between our code and database. Where is my reviews table in database.SQLite3, which is downloaded from Kaggle website, isn't it? What am I doing here? Just see. The filtered underscore data, pd dot read underscore SQL query, select from reviews. Reviews is my table name, where what it says, where score is not equal to 3, isn't it? That's what we were discussing about in our PowerPoint presentation. And we defined a partition function. Just see, what is my partition function? My partition function says, if x, just see this one. My partition function says, define partition, if x less than 3, return negative, otherwise return positive. This is actual score. Just I explained this one. What output you are getting? Just see, this is my output. Let me reduce screen size so that it may be visible a little bit. Yes, let me make it 100. Yes. Now just see this one. Yes. What are these? There are 5,000 rows and 10 columns: ID, product ID, user ID, profile name, helpfulness numerator, helpfulness denominator, score. Just see. Now this score I replaced with 4, 5 I am replacing with positive, 1, 2 I am replacing with negative, positive. Yes, I will make use this particular data set extensively throughout this lecture series. I will continue my discussion. Even I will provide all these IPython notebooks in my Google site after a few days, as I am very busy in recording these lecture series. So I am not able to spend time in keeping those files in my Google site. After a few days, certainly I will keep all these IPython notebooks in my Google site. Thank you very much.